peace, this is Tareck Adeeb. Today I would like to talk about travel. So, fate has brought me back to my roots of where I grew up, where I spent the majority of my life growing up. This is a favourite place of mine in Yorkshire, where I come often to walk and to recharge. And obviously when you come home or you come back to a place that's familiar, where you've spent so much sacred time, it's always a grounding moment, especially nature. I've always encouraged people to go into nature. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird one as well, because the whole nature of travel brings in its perils. The other week I was talking about stretching your comfort zones, and it's important to go beyond what is familiar. It's not only good for your soul, i.e., especially from a perspective of, let's say, a bias here, Sagittarius, that's what I am, to kind of travel. It's an interpretation of Sagittarius. It can give you so much nourishment, in the soul, and it can give you also so much fulfillment to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And there's so much you can learn, from culture, from other places, and you can feel the place as well, and this place becomes sacred, as you put meaning and attachment to it. But again, the perils of the unknown, can bring in all sorts of difficulty. I mean, to do this willingly, voluntarily, and to go somewhere, let's say, or to return back to a place out of joy, leisure, and they say not always the circumstances bring you, let's say for me in this case, back home for the greatest of reasons. Obviously when we have to go through grief, we lose someone and stuff like that. And if you've left somewhere and you've grown and you've changed, to come back is also a grief process, to know that you're no longer here in this land, and you should cherish those moments, because it gives you your character, gives you makes you who you are. But like I say, the perils of travel, it's harder these days, you can get sick, and as most people will do, on planes and stuff. But what comes with that, for example, like a refugee, who is forced out of his land or her land because of war, because of, let's say, politics or government, whatever, and whatever they choose to do, and then they have to go, find home in another place. That's a very traumatic experience. That's not traveling, let's say, fun, like a gap year, as they call it in England. But for the purpose of the nature of movement and surrendering to someone else's culture, or to finding out more about, let's say, someone's food or diet and things like that, and then integrating what and what you've experienced with the other culture and finding something new, I think it's a very hallowed and worthwhile thing. And to have a home, makes you appreciate even more, when you go back home, or you kind of decide to appreciate what you have. And then again, gratitude is such an important thing. So I think there's so much to it. I think there's so much to putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, even if let's say you are working and then you treat yourself for 2 weeks. That's often what is needed. You might live in a country or an environment where you don't see much sun, for example, and then you go away for a couple of weeks, you get your dose of sun, you feel better. And again, like, for example, like the nomad, doesn't necessarily have roots. They're always moving. And is it good or bad? Well, it's just different. If you have a home, it's very fortunate. It's something to be grateful for. But in the circumstance, let's say the people in Hawaii right now, like some people in Maui, have lost their homes, and obviously all the fires and things that have happened in the world recently, it can be taken away from you. So, in this time of non-attachment, it's very important, in this time of war, sadly, in this time of money, being eroded by inflation, we have to appreciate and take advantage. At the time of COVID, people couldn't travel, so just remember, it's a blessing to be able to do it. Even going to a new environment, let's say a new beach or a new hill or whatever, is travel. And always try bring a bit of you into that place, and bring peace to a place, because it's appreciated. Be your way to show the way, peace.